This is the side that's in question, y'all. Check this out. When this client came in, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube Barber Academy. Even though I've been doing this 20-something years, I am still trying to improve, and I'm still looking to critique my work and just be perfectly honest with you guys about that process. So there is definitely a difference between the way you might handle a dark spot versus a line in your fade. Now, have you ever had a line that you just couldn't work out, no matter how much you worked at it, no matter what you tried? Or have you ever done a haircut that had no lines in it, but just looked a little off, kind of like the one I just showed you? So you're not alone, and I'm gonna show you 5 different ways that you might avoid these problems in the future. And also, in a minute, I'm gonna show you guys a mistake that I made personally, actually just recently, and what I did to rectify it the second time around that the client came. I spoke about this at great length. All my subscribers know this, but you got to have your tools set up correctly. If you don't have your tools set up correctly, there is nothing I can do to help you. You might as well just skip the video and go watch something else. Bring up the triangle, y'all. So if you notice between skin, trimmer, closed taper, open taper, half closed, half open, one, that area right there is gonna give you a lot of trouble. Now, if you don't have trimmers that can cut as close as possible to your electric shaver, you're gonna struggle there. If you don't have a clipper that can cut as close as possible to your trimmer, you're gonna struggle there. So if these things are not set up correctly, which I am not gonna go into right now, I have a video, I will link it right here to show you exactly how to do that. Assuming that your stuff is set up correctly, hang tight because I'm gonna show you some mistakes that I've seen students make over and over again in the 15 years teaching, educating, flying around, and just working as a barber school instructor. Number 2, lighting. Now, shadows can be pretty hard to fix, even when you can see them perfectly. In fact, if I just hold this head up, you're gonna see that some portion of this head has a shadow on it. How many times have you seen a client come in the shop, you thought you did a great job on them, and maybe you walked outside with them for a second and you seen something? Drop it in the comments right now. Has this ever happened to you? And did you call them back? I'm just just a little welfare check, all right? With that being said, how do you expect to fix this type of stuff, as difficult as it is, without even being able to see it? I've dropped a whole bunch of links to a bunch of lights that'll work. They don't have to be really expensive lights. Even the lights that I have above me, these aren't super expensive lights. They're very soft, they're very good, and they show me mistakes that I'm making and allow me the chance to actually correct them. So if you don't have good lighting in your shop, that's very common. Don't to me in the comments about it. Go get yourself a light and put it on your station. I need a clipper for this next one, y'all. We're getting into number 3. When it comes to trimmer and clipper manipulation, we've been talking about this a lot. Whenever we're moving lines or dark spots, we keep in mind the manipulation of the clipper or trimmer, and I continue tipping it on an angle using 1 or 2 teeth. It looks a little something like this, y'all. When I begin my blend, most of the time, I'll have my clipper tipped all the way out like this. As I lower it closer to the head, going against the grain, it's going to cut more. As I tip my clipper and only use a few teeth, it's obviously going to cut less. So typically when we're dealing with a shadow, that's a buildup of density on that part of the person's hair versus an area that doesn't have much hair per square inch, which maybe won't create a shadow. A few other ways I might deal with it are shear over comb, clipper over comb, shear point texturizing, using just texturizing shears. There's a lot of ways that you could reduce the amount of density and get rid of a shadow. However, whenever we're using our clippers or our trimmers to do so, let's try to keep it on an angle, keep it tipped, keep it tilted. One of my rules, this is like one of my 10 commandments when it comes to cutting hair. Every time I'm putting in guidelines, you'll notice that I hold the clipper fairly horizontal. That doesn't mean that I might be scooping or something like that, but the clipper is being held horizontal. The moment I start looking to blend or remove these guidelines, I am only tipping down one side of the clipper or the other, or I have it on an angle altogether. The reason why I do that is simple. I can get ahead of my mistakes as I start to make them. And that's why it's so important that you develop your eye. Your barber eye is going to tell you what the haircut needs. Going forward, it's going to tell you what's the step above, what's the step below, what do I need to execute right now. It's going to be awfully hard for you guys to fix your haircuts if you can't even tell what's wrong with them. Hope that helps. Let's go on to number 4, technique. You're going to have a solid technique that you can deploy time and time again and come up with some consistent results. So I'm going to keep this brief. If you don't have that, go check out those videos, become a member, subscribe. I have a million videos that are going to dive into every aspect of the technique that is going to help you. But let me point out some of the most common flaws that I see as I've become an educator, as I've taught a bunch of people. 1, leaving the head too much. they're doing this. They don't realize that that's not keeping them anchored. That's not accurate. That doesn't feel good to have a clipper smack you in the side of the head. Aside from all those reasons, that's not going to come up with a nice haircut. The way that you come up with a nice haircut is by maintaining an anchor on the scalp. This will help you be consistent. This will help you move your clipper. It doesn't cut on the downstroke, so keep the clipper planted. The second thing that I've seen a lot was instead of manipulating the clipper like we were talking about to our advantage, they were doing it inadvertently. So there would be times where they had the clipper fully closed and they're holding it up here. That might cause the skin to stretch, bounce over the top of that clipper, and wind up getting cut way too short. So you need to be aware at all times how you're holding the clipper. And let's remember one of these guiding principles, all right? The manufacturers make all these guards for us. And they've done a damn good job. If you follow all your steps to a T and you do this correctly, the manufacturers have set up this length increase in order for you to succeed. Now, if you look at my clipper triangle, you're gonna see my hypotenuse. Now, what that represents is on a microscopic level, the hair is gradually getting longer in a fade till you see no line, right? So that means that that whole thing is smooth. Now, if your hypotenuse on your triangle has a bunch of this going on in it, more than likely those are lines. Those probably aren't dark spots. And if you got lines in your haircut, you're definitely not following your steps as thoroughly as you could be. Wrist flipping, doing all this, good barbers are not just getting lucky, flipping the wrists and coming out with great work over and over and over. Good barbers are sticking to a script, understanding what they can and can't do, what they can get away with, what speeds them up and what slows them down. You'll get there, you will. But until then, I would recommend that you reduce the amount of flipping you're doing. Hold the clipper flat, keep the clipper angled, work your way through your steps, look at my triangle, look at what step you're on, what is the step above, what is the step below, and learn how to self-diagnose. Your instructor is not always gonna be there for you. I'm not always gonna be there for you. Somebody's not always gonna be there to step in and fix it. It's not right for me to step in and try to fix your haircut. It's a lot better when you teach a man to fish and you don't have to give him your fish. Let's move on to number 5. We have many tools at our disposal, and you need to know when it is time to put the clippers down. At a certain point in the haircut, you've done all you can do with these clippers, and you have other tools to put to the head. So if you need to learn some new techniques, then you need to learn how to do some texturizing techniques that will help, how to use your shears in a way that will help, how to do shear over comb, how to use your texturizing shears. All of these things are other options that are on the table for you. Maybe you need to go back to your electric shaver. Maybe you need one that isn't as powerful and doesn't cut as harsh and allows you to blend out that trimmer line. Like I talk about with my little Uno shaver. I use that all the time for that purpose. Going down with the grain. You don't have to solely rely on one clipper, one tool to do everything. So real quickly, let's react to this a little bit further, all right? Client comes in, he tells me he wants his haircut really high. So I put the skin in pretty high, I put the line in pretty high, and I really didn't do a full evaluation on this haircut because he's been my client for a long time, but lately we've been kind of missing each other. He's been going to other barbers and I hadn't cut his hair in a while. So truth is, I didn't really get a great look at that other side and I kind of forgot all about that little colic that was gonna give me trouble down the road. Now, looking at this haircut, I don't really see any lines in it, but I definitely struggled an awful lot at the top of his crown. You can see that little dark spot there. It's probably worse looking in the photo than it was in person, but when I sat down to edit this, I realized that I had made a mistake here. So what I could have done to avoid this is what I did on the follow-up. So when he comes back, I realized that he's still asking for a high fade. He was very happy with the haircut. It was me who was unhappy with it. So I didn't post that side on IG, and I'm sorry, Nick, but this one I'd post 360. I really love the way this haircut comes out. So what did I do this follow-up time? I actually dropped the line a little bit lower, and I was a lot more mindful when I came around this area to leave some of this area dark so that I could leave the back a little darker and the whole thing would just look smoother, all right? These are some of my favorite haircuts to do where you like look at it and you really don't see no start and no end to it. It's just a perfect blend that just really gradually blends in. A trend that I see coming forward, a lot of these younger barbers are doing, and I don't know if it's, you know, just the style that they like or whatever, but they're getting a whole skin fade done in this much space. And to me, that still looks like it needs to be blended. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years, and to me, that still looks like it needs to be blended. Like I'll show you, here's a couple of pictures here. What do you guys think of these styles? I mean, do you guys feel like I know these are talented barbers who are doing this work, so I am not criticizing them. And I know that their clients are probably asking for this stuff. So I'm just asking you guys, you know, man to man, what do you think of this trend coming in? Do you think, would you want to do more haircuts like this, or would you want to do more haircuts where it's just this like seamless blend? To me, that's my style. That's what I've gravitated towards. But I am definitely open to new and different things. And obviously I've done a ton of these haircuts myself. Now, if you're new to cutting hair, I would definitely recommend that you guys check out the Rogue combo, if you can get the combo, or just get the Rogue clipper or Rogue trimmer, all right? This is basically an ergo without all the bells and whistles. It's way cheaper. It's a magnetic motor. It runs super smooth, and it's very, very easy to blend with because it moves a little bit slower. You don't always need the most powerful machine in the world when it comes to doing blending. Just like you don't need the most powerful machine in the world when it comes to doing lineups. There's a time and a place for that. Let's say I'm removing all the bulk off the side, then yes, I do want a powerful trimmer. Let's say I'm going through a bunch of bulk and I'm doing clipper over comb. Yes, this might not be the best tool for that. But when it comes time to do the fade, to get the blend done, you don't always need the most powerful thing out there. And there's a pretty good chance that what you're already using will work. And the best part about it is you guys can use my code Eddie. You can save 15% if you choose to make that purchase. When you watch other barbers or anybody who's good at something, keep in mind this. They've put in the years, time, and practice to get good at that. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is be patient with yourself. You were not born knowing how to cut hair. Everybody at some point in their career who's good at this sucked at one point in time. Let's keep in mind that barbering can be a shortcut, right? You could have went to school for 4 years and got some degrees that you didn't do shit with. Yet in the state of Florida, you can go to school for 600 hours, you can become a barber. In many of the other states, you can go to school for around 1,000 hours and you can become a barber. And you know what? You can make a pretty damn good living at it if you're serious about it. But the other side of that coin is if you're not serious about it, this probably ain't the business for you. And if you're coming from another business that just didn't work out and this is your passion, definitely give it a try. But if you're coming from another business where you lacked work ethic, you just showed up late and you think that you're gonna apply all of those ethics that you lost your other job from and you're gonna come here and jump in our business, you're gonna be one of these people who's bitching to other people about, man, I thought barbering would be different. Man, I ain't got no customers, man. This and that, the third. Cause you ain't working hard and this ain't the business for you. But if you step into this and you work hard and you take the time to learn these things, trust me when I tell you this, man, the competition out here, they're weak, all right? This is the YouTube Barber Academy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something. And if you have, drop me a fire emoji in the comment or drop me some comment of something. Show me some love. Smash that like button, subscribe, keep it locked. And in this next video, man, we're gonna be diving into a lineup from scratch. And you guys can check it out right here. I'll see you guys over there. Peace.